Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into an overview of the plot. I will be having some spoilers for this book. This book is kind of difficult to talk about without any spoilers. There'll probably be light spoilers, but there will be some spoilers. So if you want to be completely fresh to this book, please stop the video either now or after I talk about the author and come back to this later. So I just want to give you that warning. But I'll be talking about, give you an overview of the book, overview of the plot, talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and then finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. Susanna Clarke is a fantasy author from England who is best known for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which was published back in 2004. It was made into I believe a BBC series, and is actually fairly well beloved in the fantasy genre. Neil Gaiman especially is a big Susanna Clarke fan. I did read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I wasn't as hot on it as some other people, and I had some issues with that book in a similar vein to this one, which I'll be talking about shortly. But this book, Piranesi, to give you an overview of the plot, is about the main character, Piranesi, who essentially lives in a giant mansion or a labyrinth, a never-ending series of rooms that each has its own statues, each has its own sizes and dimensions. There's a weather system in different parts of this giant mansion. There are tides, there are fish, but essentially Piranesi is a character who has set out with the aid of someone he calls the Other, who's the only other person in this world, who he's kind of set out in the beginning of the novel to document and map everything that's in this world to help this individual who's called the Other in his research. So that's pretty spoiler-free of what the plot is. The plot really kind of centers around who Piranesi really is, who the Other really is, and this experiment that the Other is trying to put on, and then we kind of get deeper and deeper into that mystery. I thought that was the best part of the book. Well, maybe the second best part of the book was really the handling of the mystery, the mysterious elements in the novel, and just kind of watching Piranesi serve as almost a detective to kind of figure out what's going on in this world. I think that Susanna Clarke also does a good job of keeping this relatively short. I had a large print of this book, and it only runs about 300 pages, a little bit over 300 pages. One of my issues with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell was it felt that there was all these little details that were really served as footnotes to each page that really kind of were supposed to flesh out the world with all these stories of different magical events. Some people really enjoyed that. I bounced off it particularly hard. I thought that it was just overdone. She restrains herself a little bit in this book, and then to me the best thing about the book is the handling. In my opinion, the main plot of the book, or the main point of the book, is really talking about someone being in an abusive relationship and them coming to the realization that they're in an abusive relationship. And I don't think I've seen it handled. This to some degree is a fantasy novel, so there's some level of being removed. But I thought, it's really more of a novel of the fantastic, but I thought that was handled really, really well. The relationship isn't a romantic relationship. It's different than that, but I think she handles the different stages and understandings and mixed feelings of being in an abusive relationship. I thought that came out really strongly, and that to me is kind of what I would recommend it. To me, that's the most recommendable part about this book. The things that didn't work as well for me, I found the plot to be unnecessarily convoluted, and I thought that the first 60 pages or so are, in my opinion, really, really slow. We're really essentially going from room to room or corridor to corridor and just mapping out what's there, the different statues that are there, their importance to the main character. In my opinion, they don't do really a lot to build out the world. They don't really do a lot to add to anything. I think it's really just for her just to show you the day-to-day world of this character, so when it changes, it's a pretty dramatic change. But I thought it was overdone and could have been trimmed down a little bit. And then at the end of the book, there's some data dumps that are there, I think, in order to try to clean up some of the plot points. And I think in some way, I think it resolves the plot, so you can't say the plot is unresolved. But like I said, it just felt like the plot is probably one or two more steps convoluted than it really needed to be. And if you think about it for more than a little bit, it kind of falls apart a little bit. But overall, I think that part of the book is really good. The exploration of an abusive relationship, to me, is kind of the best part of it. Did I necessarily enjoy the book? Would I recommend it to someone? I think I would recommend it to someone who maybe wants to read or understand that idea of being in an abusive relationship and what that actually can look like. Because, again, I thought that was handled really well. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed the book. I think Susanna Clarke may just not be a writer that I enjoy. After 2 of her books, and both of them I think people seem to like a lot more than I do. But that's Piranesi. If you are a fan of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I think this book is different enough to, I don't really know if there's strong enough connection that someone would jump from this book to this other book, because I don't think there's not really anything about her writing style that's necessarily remarkable. I think she has a lot of ideas. In this book, to me, the ideas kind of come in the form of these different statues, and maybe there's some symbolism with the statues that I'm just wasn't picking up. But for me personally, it didn't really add up to very much. The plot is, like I said, pretty convoluted, and at the end of the day, I was just kind of like, okay. I think the exploration of this abusive relationship and the question of identity and what it means and how it changes people, I thought that was handled well. That's mostly towards the end of the book, and you kind of have to slog through, in my opinion, the beginning to get there. So it wasn't necessarily a book I loved. I don't think I'm ever going to come back to it, but I could see how someone else would enjoy it. I know that from what I gather, it's been fairly well received. It just maybe wasn't for me. So that's Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and next time I'm going to be reading John Scalzi's The Collapsing Empire. If you are someone who did enjoy this book, and if you are someone who enjoyed the book and you are watching this, please feel free to let me know what you liked about it. Again, I thought there was some mystery, the mysterious elements of the kind of unraveling of the mystery. I thought that was good, and I thought the idea of her exploring what it's like to be in an abusive relationship, I think those parts were handled well. The rest of it left me a little cold, and I'm a little surprised that people are enjoying this as much as they are. So if you are, please leave some comments below and let me know your opinions of it. Until next time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, bye.